Hello, and welcome to today's show. Um, I'm your host, Jay Loner Sr. Before we get in started, I want to ask you to take a quick moment out of your time and hit the like and subscribe button. It's right there below me, I'm sorry, on the screen, and this helps us get into the algorithm. With that being said and out of the way, let's get into today's episode of the Coffee Podcast. Well, we'll be diving into the Colorado Buffaloes and the change in direction. This week in Boulder, there were reportedly 100-mile-per-hour plus winds that came through the mountain town. And after these winds, it seems the Buffs have charted a new course on both offense and defense. We're going to start today's show with the offensive side of the ball. We will dive into the defensive just a little bit. But when more information comes out on the defensive side of the ball, we'll give you more information. But as of right now, there have been major changes on the defensive side of the ball. After the Buffs had a disappointing 3-19 season, changes aren't simply limited to the players, but to the staff and to coaches. The most notable change would have to start with offensive coordinator Pat Sherman no longer in Boulder. That is no surprise. There was widespread speculation that Shermer was out as early as week 3 of this past season. There was a change by Coach Prime later on in the season from offensive play caller Pat Shermer to another member of the staff who went on to become now the offensive coordinator at Nevada, Coach Brennan. Excuse me, Bartoloni. I said Coach Brennan. I was thinking about the offensive coordinator that Buffaloes have signed, which is offensive coordinator and former head coach of Sacramento State, Brennan Marion, who is the innovator of the go-go offense. Now, the go-go offense is a run-heavy offense. But you need that to win in the Big 12. But just because it's run heavy does not mean that you cannot pass out of this offense. I'm gonna give you a couple moments video of Coach Marion explaining his offense. Okay. So that's how we're gonna start this before we dive any further. All righty. Come on, get up there.
At Texas, we put it in because I told Coach the 21 personnel is good, 49ers, other teams fullback, right? But 12 personnel. Okay, so all we're trying to do here is if we get 2 over 2, okay, we're playing basketball. Okay, so we have still to do here is if we get 2 over 2, okay, the quarterback knows that it's RPO time, baby. We're playing basketball. Okay, so we have Stiller on in the box. Okay, he makes an easy alert call. We're throwing the ball. It's 2 over 2, right? Simple. We call that exit right there. We put an X on the 2 guys covering us. Excellent. Okay? All right? And so this is a way, like every way that we can manipulate and get the defense. Off guard, right? They think they have everybody covered up, which they do, right? They're very sound in what they have right here, right? And now, boom. Okay? Here we go. Here's another RPO. Okay, so now we have a fullback in the game. Okay, so we played with a fullback last year. We're in 21 personnel. Okay, we're running inside zone. We're running Steeler. Now we're running it from an opposite look. Okay, we're still, boom, right there. Okay, and how we define all our runs, okay, I heard Coach talking earlier. We just define our runs in two-man surface and three-man surface. Two-man surface means we're running the triple option. That means the quarterback can hand the ball off, he can pitch the ball, right? Or he can take it himself. Or we say it's a three-man surface where the quarterback has two options, either to hand the ball off or he's throwing an RPO. Okay. Based off of what the read key, what his pitch key is. Okay? So boom, right there. Okay, so Stiller. All these are looks off Stiller. So you see right there, they're bailing. We had both guys open, right? He could throw it to the outside guy. He can throw it to the inside guy. They're just playing cover three.
Now I want to pause it right there for a second because he's talking about a formation or a concept, a Steeler. He's a Pittsburgh native. So this would be a staple of his offense. And you can run or pass out of the Steeler. Which is basically an outside, inside zone run scheme, left to the left or right, or you could do an RPO off of that and hit a crossing route, a deep crosser, a seam if it's cover three. There's a quick out if it's palms or cover four, a speed out. I mean, there's multiple things you can do, and then if they're playing man and press. You can run it right down their throat, a hat on a hat, and your running back has to make one man miss, and you can hit your head on the goalpost. So that's very, very interesting. Let's get back to it though. All right, are we going or what? What's our issue here? Come on, guys. Where are we? Hold on, please bear with me. I'm having a little trouble with my my internet or something because it won't let me add it to the stage. Hmm. Let's try it this way.
Right there, boom, right down the seam, nice and easy. Okay, you see the O line is blocking still. Okay, next play. All right, here we go, Stiller again. All right, so coach said, right now we're doing, what was that technique you called, coach?
Duck walk.
Okay, I just call this like when my dad played 52 dunk right here. Okay, we just dumping it to the tight end. Okay, so this is what we like to call it. We know. Look, so now you see we're 21. We're an extra lineman. Okay, we use an extra lineman here. So now we have an extra lineman.
One person.
You know. So we tell our linemen, if you're freaking doing a great job and you're doing everything you're supposed to do, right? We hate to have those guys sit on the bench. We're going to go use one of those guys. So we use an extra lineman to come in the game and help us out. Okay, so now we're in our elephant personnel with an extra lineman. We got Stiller going on in the box, right? Capture the defense's eyes, throw it over the head. Okay, a little pop pass.
There's a little dump off to the tight end. This is a good third short, fourth and short situation.
Here we go. Now we're going, right, a little bit different. Right? It's still Stiller. We call this one Tomlin. Okay? All we're doing now is run split zone. Okay, and now we add a bang on it. Okay, we have a bang and we have a flat. So now we'll let the fullback block, okay, or now the tight end, right? Because now we still have two backs. We're in 21 personnel. Now he became the Y instead of being in the backfield. Okay, so now he's the Y. He splits back. Right?
This is beautiful. There's so many.
Uh-oh.
So many reads.
There we go. and we throw the bang.
They
Okay,
were
so
having
all the
problems
different ways that we
that
can
way.
create the same play. We're running the same play. Okay, and there's a lot of different looks at how it'll pop up. All right, here we go. Here's another one. We're running Steeler. The quarterback knows if he chases him, it's man. And if he chases him, right, we're going to throw it back to him. Okay, so
Receiver emotions
our
are
scouting
basically
reports,
just doing
we beat teams on, if we're playing a defensive coordinator, okay, me and our offensive coordinator, what we do, because we're football junkies,
that's just a little bit of the go-go offense. That hadn't even really got into too much of it. That's just the basics of it. Coach Marion, uh, he has some keys to victory, some V's to victory, some V's to victory. Let me show those to you. That's not V's to victory. That's not it. The first V is value the ball. 100% ball security or takeaway. So on offense, don't fumble and don't throw the ball. You have to have a quarterback that can distribute the ball. That's Juju Lewis. You have to have running backs that don't put the ball on the ground. I think Michael Welsh has only lost one fumble in 2 years. Violent, play hard as hell. It's a violent game. Simple as that. This game of football is violent at the point of attack and on backside. That's why they always tell you keep your head on a swivel. Variety. Yeah. You have to have a variety of running and passing the ball. You can't just run it all the time. You can't just pass it all the time. You have to have a variety of mix. And you have to have solutions to the problems that arise if you can't pass it or you can't run it. Be vertical. Down the field, stretch the field. That's what Coach Prime wants to do. Stretch the field. He's always had the talent at the wide receiver room to stretch the field. He's always had the talent at the quarterback position to get the ball down the field for the most part. We know Juju's superpower is his deep accuracy. That's his superpower, similar to Shador's. And victory. Score more points. Simple as that. Score more points than your opponent. It can't be any more simpler. That's the basis of the game. To win the game, you don't play it for any other reason but to win the game. All right. Let me remove these V's to victory. Brennan comes from Sacramento State, where he led the Hornets to a 7-5 record, and they averaged 35 and a half points a game and was ranked fourth in the conference after one season of Coach Marion's leadership. Marion is better known for his innovative go-go offense. The go-go offense is aimed to create mismatches and use an up-tempo pace to help facilitate the mismatches and tire out the defense. Same thing Coach Prime wanted to do in his first year. Same thing he wanted to do in his second year. Same thing he wanted to do this past season, but wasn't as successful with it. It is expected that Coach Marion will tailor the go-go offense for Julian Lewis and his superpower of deep shots, but with a heavy emphasis, excuse me, on running the ball. We can't forget that to win the Big 12, you must run the ball. And in this offense, it's pre- predominantly a run heavy offense, and then you do play action or RPO off of that. but there are some plays where you can uh, do NFL or next level concepts out of with a single back formation. Coach Prime didn't stop with just Coach Marion. Coach Prime promoted uh, former running back assistant coach and analyst Johnny Mack to head running backs coach or the leader in the running backs room after Marshall Falk took the head coaching. Hall of Famer Marshall Falk took the head coaching job at Southern University. Uh, Coach Prime also brought in Kyle Wagner to help run and help these running backs understand the go-go offense. Coach Kyle Wagner was in the same position as a assistant running backs coach and an analysis last season at Sacramento State under Coach Marion. So this is very familiar with these two. The biggest change I'm waiting to see is who is going to be the wide receivers coach, because with the expected loss of Coach Jason Phillips, who's had four receivers in the past season make it to the NFL, not including receivers that might go this year, Sincere Brown. Um, and one of those receivers last year being the Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter. Coach Phillips did not teach blocking downfield, and it wasn't an emphasis. I should say it wasn't an emphasis in his teaching. Not that he didn't teach it; it wasn't an emphasis in his teaching to block downfield. Well, that won't match with the go-go offense, and with the go-go, every man must do his job downfield at the point of attack and downfield. Every man must do his job, or you one won't get the ball, and two, you won't get the ball because you won't be on the field. Coach Marion is not going to play this because you run fast or we have to put you out there. No disrespect to Coach Phillips, because Coach Phillips was a dog ride receiver at Houston, and he helped his quarterback win a Heisman because he had to throw it to somebody. And Coach Phillips was the number one receiver in the nation 2 consecutive years. Okay, so he does know a little something about that. But I want to see who Coach Prime brings in with a hard nosed attitude of blocking downfield. You know, on the defensive side of the ball, Coach Prime made a huge hire, hiring this man that you see on the screen as your linebackers coach, Chris Marv. Chris Marv is the former defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech and at the line backer position. This move replaces Coach Prime's long time stable coach, Coach Hart, from that position. Coach Hart had been with Coach Prime since his days at Trinity Academy. So they've been together for over 20 years. And I won't be surprised if Coach Hart is still somewhere in the building, but a significant change had to be made. No disrespect to Coach Hart, but he didn't seem to be able, except for 1 out of 3 years, be able to help stop the run up the middle or stop a basic wheel route. We got killed 9 times on wheel routes from the running back out of the backfield. And that's about technique. That's about technique. Marv started his coaching career at his alma mater, Vanderbilt, in 2014. Coach Marv also has had stops along the way at Mississippi State and at Florida State before taking the defensive coordinator position at Virginia Tech in 2023. When Coach Marv took over that unit, the defensive unit at Virginia Tech, they became one of the high ranked defenses in the ACC, second in total defense in 2023, and third in scoring defense in 2034. This move, in my opinion, is a twofold move. the first to shore up the defensive run because Coach Marv is a linebacker by trade. So was Coach Hart. But at the same time, Coach Hart just I wasn't there, so I can't speak on why kids didn't get the coaching style or he didn't get Coach Hart or he couldn't get them to produce on field. Now he could have been great behind the scenes and as a motivator and of that nature, but on the field, the product didn't produce. So you can't say it's always the player. Sometimes you have to look at the coach. So maybe Coach Hart will go with Coach Falk at Southern, or maybe he'll still be around the program. But that's neither here nor there. Um, Coach Marv is definitely gonna. Ooh, and I just thought about this with Coach George. Uh, Hilo. That's going to be nasty if Coach Hilo is still on there with him. But the second part of this, the second fold in this, I think it puts Coach Rob Livingston, the defensive coordinator, on notice to tighten up his ship, or you'll be walking the plank, homie. Coach Prime's not going to have another losing season like this. He can't. Not for his coaching resume, not for his coaching tree, because coaches out there still think it's a gimmick. Everybody that watches it can see that coach can coach, but he needs a dominant year without his son Stuh there to help. And then I think he'll get his just due. I know that's not fair. I'm not saying it's fair. Not at all. It's just it's just the way the media works. Because in the media, y'all have heard the old saying, the pen is mightier than the sword. Because the pen will tell the story for 1,000 more years longer than a sword would. So I think you have to watch how you listen to people's narratives because it will always be the negative and never the positive. Like this episode of this podcast was Winds of Change. And it wasn't meant to be a negative or a scary situation. Change can be good. It depends on how you handle the change. You personally, you individually have to handle the change. Other people can't handle change for you. Now, there was a lot of movement in the transfer portal going out. Let's all just pump our brakes and see what happens in 2 weeks when the transfer portal opens up, and see what Coach Brennan gets brought in, and these and Coach Marv brings in on the defensive side. I really want to know what's going to happen on this defensive line because they ain't been right since the block Willie left. And I'm surprised he hasn't got picked up by somebody in the league because he could stop the run. He could plug the gap and two gap it all day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Pot of Coffee podcast. I hope to see you soon. Skull Buffs.